Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches, where we connect compassion with needs as we inspire growth with dignity. You'll find us in special places throughout the community. For those who remain hungry, we provide meals. For those who are challenged, we build wheelchair ramps. We comfort those who are ill, minister to those who are confined, and we remain an advocate for change and understanding on behalf of every element of our community. Connect and inspire. Encounter the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning, I'm Jeff Kellam. Welcome to this week's edition of Encounter. I may be the world's oldest television host, but at one time I was a rock and roll DJ, and my program was called Celebration Rock. I did it about 50 years ago. And the tagline for that program was celebrating our new life together. Celebrating new life. I ran across an organization that has that as part of their tagline, or close to it. Mom's House. Celebrating life and empowering parents. Isn't that great? And then it goes on through education and childcare. Our guest today on Encounter is Kristine Cunningham. She's the executive director of Mom's House. Celebrating life and empowering parents. That's powerful.
Yeah, that's what we're all about. We really believe in education and using it as a means to increase your earning potential and living your best life.
Yeah, and so this is an organization for single parents?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's talk about how Mom's House came to be. What was the need that Mom's House was designed to meet?
So single parents are 5 times more likely to be living in poverty. And without some sort of hand up, without some sort of help, that cycle is just going to continue. So Mom's House came to be so that single parents have the ability to get their education and support themselves in dignity and stability, really, and to support their families independently.
Yeah, and so you're providing childcare so that they can go to school.
Correct. So one of the biggest barriers that low-income families face in looking to get an education is how they're going to pay for childcare.
Right.
So they need childcare while they're in class, but childcare in our area can be $250, $300 a week,
yeah,
which is insurmountable.
Yeah.
So we remove that barrier by offering our program with no financial fee attached to it.
It's difficult enough to be able to pay for your education.
Correct.
But then to pay for childcare as well, that, as you say, that just closes the door.
Right.
Now, how long has Mom's House been doing this?
We've been doing this in our area since 1988, so we've been here for 34 years supporting single parents.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd heard of Mom's House, just it was in the air. Mm-hmm. And then you came to our church and spoke to our church one Sunday morning. Yeah. The mission committee had brought you in, and that's when I learned more about it and was very impressed with your presentation, but also with the idea that you're helping people celebrate life. Right. And you're taking this huge burden off of single parents who want to move ahead with their education and, as you say, increase their earning potential, find meaning and purpose in their life and livelihood. Right. Mm-hmm. So tell me about some of the programs. How does Mom's House work?
So the biggest thing that we do for our parents is the free childcare. As I said, that's a huge barrier to them completing their education, but it's so much more. It's a very comprehensive program. So we offer counseling. We have a counselor on staff who provides short-term counseling to the parents and to the children, mentoring, emotional support. A lot of times we get food, clothing, and material donations, and we pass that on to our parents. We have monthly workshops in child rearing, budgeting, finance, different topics that we think will be important to our clients, and those are required for our parents to attend. So we really try and lift them up and support them while they're getting their education. So when they complete their education, they go out into the working world, they're in a better position than they were in when they first came to us.
It's interesting that a lot of organizations begin with a certain purpose And then you realize another layer is needed, and then another one. And it sounds like you've broadened the scope of Mom's House considerably.
We do, and we really get to know our families well. We consider it a family atmosphere, and so many of our clients who have graduated still stay in touch, and we still see their children, and it's a really great program.
How long do you stay in touch with folks during the program? That is, how long does it take for the average parent to move through their education through the services of Mom's House?
So the average stay is 2 years, but it really depends on the client. So, because we provide services to any educational program, so it could be high school, college, learning a trade. It's a variety of programs. So it's dependent on how old the child is when the parent comes into the program, because we provide services from 6 weeks to 5 years. So once they go to kindergarten, there's no need for our service anymore. So we've had people start and go the full 5 years through a master's program. We had our first PhD graduate 2 years ago. So it really varies on the client and what their intentions are educationally.
Well, and those success stories really energize the program, don't they?
Absolutely, yes.
You've been executive director for how long?
I've been executive director for 3 years, and I was there many years ago and was assistant director and then executive director for 13 years.
Yeah. I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier, that you provide counseling. Now, is this career counseling? Is this personal issue counseling? What kind of counseling is provided?
It's both. It's really driven by the client and what their needs are. So, and it's solutions based, and whatever they come in with, we try and support that.
Yeah. And that's at no charge?
It is at no charge.
Wow.
Although when I say no charge, so we don't charge a monetary fee, but there are requirements from our parents, and there's 3 main things they have to do for us. So it's not a giveaway program. It's a hand up, not a handout. So the first is they need to do 2 hours of service time at Mom's House every week. And that is usually cleaning the daycare center. A lot of people think it's watching the children, like, it's kind of a co-op where one parent watches it, and that's not what we do. But a lot of it's cleaning. They could be doing office work. They also have to help us with fundraising time. So they do 5 hours per semester of fundraising time.
And what does that entail?
So if we have a golf tournament, they might work at our golf tournament. We sell lots of candy bars, so they could take a box of candy bars and sell it at school, have their parents bring it to work and sell it.
You didn't happen to bring any of those candy bars with you, did you?
I did not bring any today. And then the final thing they have to do for us is maintain passing grades. So the goal of the program is to get them through their education. So we're serious about them going to school every day, and it's not that none of our clients ever have trouble in a class, but we'll provide them with a tutor if they need tutoring as well, because we really want them to focus on school, get good grades, and get a good job.
Sure. I got a kick out of the fact that you talked about the mothers cleaning the space, and it's probably one of the cleanest facilities around because their kids are participating in it.
Absolutely, yeah. They really make sure that our facility is spotless, and we have a beautiful facility that we own on Harry L. Drive in Johnson City, and we're very proud of it, and the parents do keep it spotless.
Yeah. How many children can you accommodate?
We're licensed for 42 children, but because we have dual clients, so we have our clients and we really need to focus on them, and then we have our children and we really need to focus on them. So we would probably never go up to 42 because that would really be 84 clients. So we average around 25 a semester, clients and children. Post-pandemic, our numbers have been down a little bit. But we're looking to get back into it and go strong in the fall.
That must have been a challenge, the pandemic.
It was very challenging.
With masks and all the different requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did well with it, though. I think it was a challenge for everyone. I think the hardest thing for us was when the mandate came down that the children had to wear masks, because that was fun. But yeah, we did well through it.
Yeah. Let's talk now about the staff, because they are providing childcare from 3 months. I couldn't do that. Once my own 2 kids were nurtured, I'm not sure I could do that.
Right.
Up to the age of 5 when they would go to school. So tell me about the staff, numbers, and what qualifications you have.
Right, so we're actually licensed by New York State to provide childcare, and they have lots of rules and regulations specifically to staff, but also just in general. And for us, we want to make sure our program is above average, because we're dealing with children who are living in poverty, and there's delays and different things that can come out of growing up in poverty. So we want to be sure to really focus on the kids and mitigate any of those circumstances, so that when they go to kindergarten, they're on a level playing field with their peers.
Sure.
So we have an overqualified staff, actually. We have 4 classrooms. They're broken up by age. So we have an infant room, 2 toddler rooms, and a preschool classroom. And depending on the classroom, the educational level varies. But for our preschool classroom, our teacher has her bachelor's in early childhood education. So a lot of our staff is there for the mission, not necessarily for a job. They like what Mom's House does and want to support that. But in addition to our wonderful staff, we also have a lot of volunteers that we work with, and they're screened the same way our staff is screened, but they allow us to give a lot of individualized attention. So for example, our infant classroom, which is 6 weeks to 18 months, the state says you have to have a 4-to-1 ratio. Well, we don't think that's manageable. So we do a 2-to-1 ratio in that room, and we're able to do that with the help of our volunteers. So we always have staff members in the classroom as leads, but then our volunteers who are retired nurses, retired teachers, retired physical therapists come in and really give us the individualized attention. And a lot of them have a high level of skill. I was sitting at a table yesterday at a volunteer and staff luncheon talking to one of our volunteers, and she was an ex-physical therapist. And the teacher in the classroom was saying how she worked with the babies. And there was this one baby who just was 5 months old and not rolling over. And that was her commitment, was she was going to get him to roll over.
Wonderful.
Which she did.
Yeah.
So what a huge benefit to our families.
Yeah. Is this 5 days a week, 6 days a week?
It's 5 days a week during the school year, so we're typically closed over the summer.
Sure. And so things just slow down during the summer,
Right.
and your staff is kind of on sabbatical, I guess, until September.
Right, so the child care staff is on sabbatical. The administrative staff is still working hard to raise the money it takes to operate the program and to get things set for next semester.
Sure. Let's talk first about the volunteers. That if people watching or listening right now think, wow, that's something I could do. How many hours a week are we talking about for a volunteer?
It's really up to the volunteer. We have some volunteers that come in for 3 hours a week on one day, and we have some volunteers who come in a couple of days a week and work all day. We will work it around what you're looking for.
Great. So the time that you have, you might go to the website, and the website is fairly easy here. It's www.momshouseny.
Right.
Gosh, what does NY stand for? momshouseny.org. So that NY is a clue to the fact that this is, there's a Mom's House network kind of, I use the term, it's an affiliate, I guess,
Right.
of a larger organization.
Yes.
That you're loosely affiliated with.
So it was initially developed in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Someone just thought of, saw the need in her community, and the first Mom's House was born. And then now there's 5 throughout on the East Coast. There's a couple in Pennsylvania. and
Yeah.
then us.
Yeah. So once again, for more information about Mom's House or to volunteer and to find out what the qualifications would be, the website is www.momshouseny.org, and then we'll do a phone number. We'll do the phone number a couple of times here, so get your pen or your pencil or your tablet or whatever. It's 607-644-9972.
Right, and you can fill out a volunteer application right online.
Great.
So it makes it very easy.
Great. So once again, 607-644-9972. Funding. So you've talked a little bit about funding and the need for it. So how do you have a golf tournament? Mm-hmm. I know our church made a small contribution, so there are religious institutions that fund Mom's House as well as other organizations, I guess.
Right, so we have about a $400,000 operating budget, and if you think about it, we have the same bills any other daycare center has, but we're not collecting a fee for service. Mm-hmm. So we have to raise all the money it takes to operate the program, and this community I can't say enough about. The generosity is amazing, and we've been supported for 34 years and just able to do what we do and not worry about that. But we have several fundraisers, major fundraisers that we operate every year. Our golf tournament, we have a dinner in the fall, and we do a breakfast with Santa in the winter. And then we have lots of little fundraisers, and people have fundraisers for us. Coming up on July 30th, there's a race that's part of the Empire Road Race Series. Part of the proceeds is going to Mom's House as well as some other local organizations. We sell candy bars. We, I mean, you know, you name it, we've probably done it.
Yeah, right.
And then donations. So churches, organizations, businesses, individuals donate monthly or whenever they can. And then we write grants to local foundations. And that helps us with a lot of program support.
Yeah, would that be the major funding block is?
No, actually the major funding block is donations, believe it or not.
Okay.
That's why I say this community is so generous with us.
And once again, if you go to the website, you'll find a way to donate.
You will,
Yeah,
yes.
you'll find all the information. It's a wonderful website. I recommend going to it. It's so filled with hope and positive vibes about the community and about the things that can be done to help single parents find their way through their educational system and find daycare so they can go to school. It's called Mom's House. What if you're a guy?
You can still come as long as you're a single parent, and we have had men enrolled in our program.
Yep. So they help, do they know how to clean for 2 hours?
Sometimes we need to teach them, but I'm just kidding.
That's awful. That's awful. Our guest today is Kristine Cunningham. She is the executive director of Mom's House, and great conversation here. What are some success stories? Let's talk about, move from the structure and the organization to some of the people that you've helped.
So so many families have come through our door, and it's so wonderful to see when they graduate and they go out and get a great job. And, it's kind of a win-win situation with our community, because once they get their education and get a well-paying job, they have access to insurance, financial planning, all those things that we just are used to.
Sure.
Instead of utilizing our tax system for support, now they're paying into the tax system. They're patronizing local businesses, supporting nonprofits like Mom's House. Like, it really is a positive win-win situation. And so many, we've had graduates in pretty much any profession you can think of. A lot are teachers, nurses, accounting, physical therapy. And not only are they going on to, graduating and getting a good job, but then their children are following in their footsteps. So it's a multi-generational approach.
Right.
We have one of our earliest graduates who's always stayed in touch with us. Her son Matthew is now a doctor. And she says that would never have happened without the support of Mom's House.
Isn't that great?
We have 2 of our graduates on our board of directors, which is really important. But just thriving and living their lives, and they're financially supporting us. They're supporting us by volunteering at our events.
Yeah.
And doing the same, I'm sure, for many agencies in the community.
Yeah. Personally, you must have a great feeling of satisfaction about this when you look at those success stories and see the difference that these children are making, the children who've been nurtured there, but the parents too who've gone through the educational foot race to get their degrees and then move into their vocations. They make a difference in the community, and it's because of Mom's House.
Right, and it's why I came back after being home raising my children for 13 years, and there is a lot of satisfaction, but it's so joyful and it's so uplifting to work there and see such positive outcomes. There isn't a negative to it.
Yeah. How did you prepare for this? What is your background? Is it social work or?
Actually, I have a bachelor's degree in human services. I wanted to be a social worker. Applied to Marywood, and fate kind of intervened because one of my references didn't get submitted, so I had to reapply. But I back up a little bit. I did an internship at Mom's House, and so they hired me out of college. So after I got my degree, so I was applying for my master's degree while I was working there, and then I decided I wanted to get a degree in business because that really fit better. So I got my MBA from Binghamton University. So I kind of have that human services background, but also Mom's House is a business, and so running the business, you need those skills as well. And once I was involved, I just couldn't get away.
Right, I understand. And the movement, as people do their own educational process, sometimes we ask a high school student, what are you going to major in at college? Well, maybe they know, but then they get to college, they make their changes. My daughter changed her major in her junior year, and I can't tell you, she called and said, I'm changing my major, and I thought, what? How much longer will this take? But she finished with a degree in business in community service.
Oh.
And then her first job was director of volunteers for Meals on Wheels back in Virginia, and that was perfect, a wonderful fit.
Yeah.
And you've followed the same track. You've just taken your personal interest and background, and you've made a career, a vocation, a calling.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what you're helping other folks to do. When you look at some of the folks who are coming, how does one apply to Mom's House? What does it take for them to enroll their child in your child care program?
So in order to become enrolled, you need to be single, so not married, widowed, divorced, and low income, which if you're single and you're a parent, you pretty much are automatically low income. And then from there, they would go on our website and fill out an application. They come in for an interview. We do interview clients before they're accepted into the program, just to make sure that they're on the right track and they really are committed to getting their education. Mom's House does not work for everyone. So the majority of our clients will come in and graduate, but there are some that just aren't prepared for the cooperative effort it's gonna take. Or aren't ready to go back to school, because being a single parent is overwhelming, and there's a huge time commitment there. And then once they go through the interview process, and they're starting school, they can become enrolled.
It must be terribly difficult to give someone the message that they've not made it, they've not made the cut. Do they re-enroll later and come back?
You mean before they've ever enrolled? That doesn't, it doesn't usually happen. Sometimes we'll interview somebody and they'll self-select out, they'll realize it's not the program for them. So it really doesn't usually happen that someone comes in for an interview. We'll usually give everyone a chance. But we have had some that haven't worked out in the program. That is a hard thing.
Once again, we're talking with Kristine Cunningham, the Executive Director of Mom's House. And going back to the Is this your mission statement? Celebrating life and empowering parents through education and childcare.
It's not our mission statement, but it's kind of our philosophy.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
The people who participate as volunteers, and we've said if you want to volunteer, you go to that website and you can find a place to volunteer for a few hours, whatever you've got. If you had 2 hours a week, that would be wonderful. The volunteers would be directly working with the children.
Well, we have volunteers who directly work with the children, but we have volunteers who work at our front desk. We have volunteers that work for special projects. We have volunteers who help us. They're on the committees for our fundraisers. So we can utilize volunteers in a lot of different areas.
And your hours during the day include a meal?
They include 2 meals.
2 meals.
So we provide a hot, well-balanced breakfast and lunch while the kids are there, and then a snack in the afternoon.
Yeah, wow. So can I come by for lunch sometime?
I would love to have you come by for lunch. We have a great cook who makes wonderful meals.
Right. I've already found out we can't have candy bars, so I'm trying to get a meal here. When you look at your volunteers, and you talked about some of the folks you've kept in touch with, that they write letters and say how much they've appreciated the work. Are these the parents or are these the kids who grow up and know that Mom's House event?
We've had both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wonderful that a child, because you're spending more time with that child during the day than Mom or Dad is.
Right.
And so you've made an impact on that child that's going to be a lifelong impact.
Right. Yes. And I think a big part of it too is once their parents graduate, they still come back and visit. So a two-year-old might not necessarily remember much about their experience, but as they come back over the years and their mom said, oh, this is where you were when you were a baby, and they develop that connection too.
Yeah. I remember a few things about my 4-year-old self, my 5-year-old self, and some of them were good things. Our guest today on Encounter has been Kristine with a K, Cunningham with a C. She is the executive director of Mom's House. And where is it located again?
It's on 770 Harriel Drive. We sit back a little bit from the road, so sometimes people have a hard time finding us.
Okay. And the website is www.momshouseny.org. And we'll give that phone number once again. It's 607-644-9972. So if you have a need for childcare as a single parent, then you've got to go to this website or call that number, 607-644-9972. Or if you know someone who does need the service of Mom's House, then please spread the word. It's going to have a life-changing impact on children as well as their parents seeking their educational journey. Thank you for joining us for this week's edition of Encounter. We'll be back next week with another edition of Encounter. I hope that in the meantime you'll be gentle with people and with yourself. I'm Jeff Kellam, and again, we'll see you again next week.